If you want to use organic marketing to get more leads for your business, or you're starting from scratch, whether it's a new department or brand new for your business, I talked to a room full of business owners for 8 hours, and this is one of the best moments that we pulled out of just talking about organic strategy to help them make more money. There are these two worlds where there's like the world that makes money and just needs traffic, and the world that has so much traffic and has no money. And so when you learn how to marry those two, you just make absolutely obscene amounts of money. I mean, like Logan Paul merging with Prime, like he had the audience and the traffic, and then he had a way to make money. Mr. Beast with the chocolate, like he had distribution, he just needed a product. Alex Hormozi needed a product for the distribution base. Skool, right? Tons of traffic, where do we send it? Right now, if you have paid ads, starting organic will immediately make the paid ads more profitable. Because what will happen is people will look at the ads, then they will look at your organic, and then they will take the next step. Even if they took the next step and booked a call, they will actually show. And if they show, they'll have a higher percentage of closing. Like, don't worry about the views and all of that stuff that happens in the early days. Just keep making it, and just think about it in the beginning as lead nurture. In the early days, it'll be nurture. As you get bigger and bigger, it'll become acquisition. But just from a value perspective, if you can just make that shift, it'll make your life a lot easier. From a scaling organic perspective, I tend to always start with an agency for every new medium or platform that I want to go on. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. I just prefer to buy lessons and shrink my timelines. And so I started with a guy that I think I was paying like $5,000 a month. In no way was he special, basically did nothing. But it kept me accountable to making 3 videos a week. And so I would do that, and he would post them. I still don't really know how to post a video on YouTube. And so I say that because if you just focus on making the content exceptional, like, it will grow. Like, it absolutely will grow. And just my recommendation is, do not promote in the content to the greatest ever. So think about it like this, is that you want to have this big valuable thing, all this content that you're teaching. The CTAs, in my opinion, in content are not very effective. Like, they kill reach, it feels weird, no one likes it, whatever. People will naturally just take the next step. If you put it in the descriptions, you put it in your link in bio, like, you do those two things, you will get traffic to your stuff by just saying, this is what I do, rather than, hey, by the way, like, I don't think that's the right way to do it. The beautiful merger of these, who here knows how to run ads? You can just like get a show of hands. Okay, so like half of you guys? Okay. Where the magic happens is where you build all the goodwill for free, and then you use ads to do the CTAs. And so, has anyone here read the Leads book? Okay. So there's the whole content section about the give-ask ratio. Unfortunately, based on the book and the limitations of the book, I can't get into like more advanced stuff. Where it gets really juicy is that all of your content is only give. And then the ads are the ask. So then you don't have to balance a give-to-ask ratio. You just only give in content. And then the ads serve to be the CTA. And for whatever reason, it protects the brand. It's a totally different vibe. If I was like right hooking in every video, being like, hey, go to here, go to here, go to here, people would be like, whoop, and then that would be it. Like, no one would watch my stuff anymore. But if I keep providing value, they get value, I deposit goodwill, and then later we can hit them with an advertisement to go do something. And they exist completely separately. And so we just want to think about the mind space of like, the 3-to-1 ratio still exists if you think about someone's newsfeed. So they have like content 1 from you, content 2 from you, content 3 from you, and then they have an ad from you. And so here's the money one, and all this other stuff is free. And so think about it from a larger perspective, and this is where the obscene money is. What do you guys have questions about here? All right, so I'm gonna just rant at you for a second, try and cross as many of these out as I can. So from a like topics, volume, like these kind of all go together. So Evelyn, for you, if you were looking at, I make this really niche content, I need to go wide. In my experience, like, keep making the content that's going to serve your avatar. If you want to have, I would say, like, if you want to sprinkle in, I just consider it further top of funnel. And so like we have made some of these, like I made one video on some meal stuff I did. And I would say that for us, we kind of swing a little bit like a pendulum, where I only like making business content. The team will urge me to not make business specific content so that we can appeal to a wider audience from time to time. And usually, like, the more I do this, I'm like, and then I swing back over here. And I'm willing to know that the volume drops. And I'll just tell you, let me just share this experience with you. So we did a workshop here, that's why it's set up like this. And I asked the room, I said, hey, of the content that I make, which you guys are consuming like the case study stuff where we like build out a sales team and like we're like how we do onboarding and like all that stuff, and who here is consuming like lessons to my younger self? The whole room was this side. And so even though these got 1/3 the views of these ones, sometimes this can introduce people. Like the right people will then, just think about it as top of funnel. Like this gets more people in, they'll see other stuff you have, and then they'll go down the longer niche, more niche videos that's specific to them. Now the other people who just come for that, well, they'll wait till you have your next one of that, and then YouTube or whatever will display it to them. So that's from a topic perspective. I would say if you do like 3-to-1, 4-to-1 in terms of your longs, like one I go a little bit wider, and the rest I still stay on topic, you'll probably get the best of both worlds. What I would tell you though is that I think your stuff's really good, and I think you just need to learn more presentation skills. And that's okay. That's not like, this is me trying to help. And so I think that you could probably take the same content you're currently making and just simply structure it better, and you'd probably get 10 times the views. A side note for you guys is you'll notice the bigger the creator, usually the less frequent they actually make videos. And it's because they realize just power laws exist, which is that if you spend 10 times more time on one video, it doesn't get 10 times the views. Sometimes you get 100 times the views. And so, like, especially platforms nowadays are so heavily reliant on quality. You create the quantity to figure out the quality. And so in the beginning, more people make lots of content, and then you start figuring out the stuff that works, and then you'll notice that they're like, oh man, well, we did spend more time on that video. Okay, well, if we're gonna keep making videos like that, I don't think we can make this money, but it's okay because you make it up on the fact that the total quality of that one, it gets shared more, people watch it longer. And I think Mr. B said this, but it was like, if you make 10 videos or you spend 10 times and you make that one video 20% better in terms of AVD or click-through rate, you don't get 10 times the views, you get 100 times the views. So you get a disproportionate return for quality. And so I think it's fine from the niche content perspective, but I would go really deep on the topic and try and keep it as congruent with the packaging of the video, which is where a lot of people lose off. And you need to obsess about your first 30 seconds. But like this last weekend, I watched my top 35 YouTube videos. I watched the first 3 minutes of all of them. And I wanted to figure out like, what was it that I did in these videos that I didn't do in other videos that had similar average view duration, but I didn't carry as many people through. And I'll just share this with you, the 3 Ps that I found, at least for us, which is promise, proof, path. And so you want to cover that, and this is for you in terms of the big difference between educators and entertainers. They don't think that way. And maybe I'll find out in 2 years I'm wrong here, but this is what I think right now, which is that like there was a huge obsession of like match the exact words of the headline with the first however many seconds of the video, confirm the thumbnail in the background. And that's really because if you say, hey, we're gonna crush a Lamborghini, and they go and it's a talking head, there's no Lamborghini, they're like, screw this, and they're out, right? But if you're educating, then I think the Lamborghini in our situation is proof. Is the big Vegas lights of why should I listen to you? Sure, I want to learn more about guarantees. Okay, but why should I listen to you? And if you can answer that as quickly as possible, like the videos that, like when I looked at my top ones, it was just like, hey, I sold my company for $46.2 million. A big part of that was that we had a guarantee that beat all of our competitors. And so we did 4 things that we used that made our guarantee stronger. Done. And if that's what I said the video was about, they're like, okay, there's a promise of what he's gonna help me do, there's a path, and I have proof of why I should listen to this guy. And so you wanna have that. Like, what's in it for me and why should I believe you? And then the path, in my opinion, is just to show that there is structure and you can set expectations and then meet the expectations. I think that's more about watch time. The first 2 are about why should I stay, and then that's what's gonna happen. I will probably write a book on branding at some point. I think I have significantly increased my understanding of what a brand is. And so I think first starting with the term of defining it, which is it's an association between 2 things. Like that's what a brand is. It's between things that people know, it's people that they don't know. And so branding is also a word for teaching.